One of the most important parts of this process is the ability to listen. And we have to ask ourselves the question, are they listening or are they just hearing? When does communication take place? Anyone know? If I have some verbal conversation with another person, has communication taken place?
No.
Has not, has it? Why not?
Understanding.
There has to be understanding, right? Not only does this person have to hear and receive the message, but it's got to be in a way that they understand it. Okay? Let me just illustrate that by a story. I've got a very short story I'm going to tell. You may have heard this story before. Just bear with me. I've got some questions for you afterwards. You may even have heard this story before, but again, just bear with me. Here we go. You're the driver of a bus. The bus leaves the depot, heads to the first stop, picks up 10 people, proceeds on its route, and stops. At that stop, 25 people get on the bus. 3 people get off. Proceeds on its route and stops. At that stop, 7 people get on, 4 get off, 3 more get back on. Proceeds on its route and stops. At that stop, 5 people get on, 3 get off. Proceeds on its route and stops. At that stop, 10 people get on, nobody gets off. Now, I've got some questions for you, and I don't want you to blurt out the answers. If you know the answers, just keep them to yourself. I just want to know by a show of hands whether or not you know the answer. Here's the first question. How many stops did the bus make? Raise your hand if you know. Okay, looks like a couple of you. What was the gender of the bus driver? Raise your hand if you know. Okay, same 2 or 3 out of the entire group thinks they know what the gender of the bus driver is. What is the marital status of the bus driver? Raise your hand if you know. Okay, just a couple of you. How many children does the bus driver have? Raise your hand if you know. Okay, 3, I'm counting. And the final question is, what did the bus driver have to eat for breakfast? Raise your hand if you know. Okay, got 3 of you that know this. Why didn't the rest of you get the answers to those questions? Why is it only 2 or 3 of you were able to answer these questions all the way through? Well, one of the principles that we're going to find out is that we don't tend to listen very well. We tend to hear but not listen. One of the reasons for this is that we don't hear and listen completely until we are engaged by the speaker and that we are actually hearing something that's relevant to us. Let me illustrate that point. Let's go over the answers to the questions that I asked. How many stops did the bus make?
5.
5. You got 5, you're correct. What was the gender of the bus driver?
Male.
Okay, male, that's correct. What was the marital status of the bus driver? Married, that's correct. Unmarried, that's correct. And how many children does the bus driver have?
None. 3.
None, 3. Both of those are correct. What did the bus driver have to eat for breakfast?
Coffee.
Coffee. Anything else? Eggs. Yep, you're all correct. Everybody who had an answer to that is correct. Some of you are looking at me kind of quizzically, wondering when the heck did I ever mention breakfast? What was the very first question, or I'm sorry, the very first thing that I said in that story, the very first statement I made?
You are the driver.
You are the driver of the bus. Now, if you had listened to that, if I had engaged you with that question, and you had that in mind as I was asking the questions, you would have known what the gender of the bus driver is. You would have known what you had to eat for breakfast, how many kids you have, what your marital status is. But that kind of illustrates how we tend to listen. We don't even tune in until we think we've heard something important. So we have to ask the question, why should I listen to you? If you're leading a tailgate meeting, what are you doing differently to engage me, to ensure that I listen to you? How effective is my communication really? That's the question that we need to ask ourselves.